Hello and welcome to the Red Leaf Card, your home for Canadian soccer news and views. My name is Jacob, and today we're going to be talking about the update that is in Kingston with their stadium, and also the Concacaf Champions Cup, how it's doing, and also some big news in League One Quebec for their upcoming season. So Concacaf Champions Cup is still in, and it's right now in the round of 16. They just had finished their first leg in the Concacaf Champions Cup for the round of 16. Los Angeles defeated Columbus Crew 3-0, and now the aggregate is still 3-0. There's still chance for Columbus Crew to come back, but it's going to be a hard one to come back against Los Angeles FC. Inter Miami FCF against Cavalier. Inter Miami defeated the Jamaican team Cavalier 2-0 with a sold-out crowd in Kingston. Vancouver Whitecaps draws with Monterrey at 1 apiece, but Monterrey gets the away goal advantage. Pumas defeats Aloihense 2-0 in the first leg. Chivas defeats Club America 1-0. Seattle Sounders draws with Cruz Azul with a scoreless match. Cincinnati draws with Tigres 1 goal apiece. And Herediano defeats LA Galaxy at 1-0. So this is what we're seeing in the updates for the round of 16, and a real shocker that Herediano is in the lead against LA Galaxy, and seeing that Vancouver Whitecaps trying to do their best to represent Canada all the way to the quarterfinals and hoping their best into the second leg against Monterrey for Vancouver Whitecaps, and they're doing their best. And I think that some Whitecap fans are really impressed how the match went. And during that match, some people say that it has some controversy in the last minutes in that match, that one of the defenders for the Whitecaps could have caused a penalty kick in those minutes. But if there was the chance that they reviewed it in those dying minutes, I would have to say that Monterrey would have had some advantage with the final minutes of 2-1, and the Vancouver Whitecaps wouldn't do really well in those two away goals. But right now, the aggregate score is 1-1 with Monterrey with the away goal advantage. But still, Vancouver Whitecaps could actually move on if they do really well in the second leg. And right now, Calgary FC and Forge FC are already eliminated in the first round. That is some bad news for the Canadian Premier League fans out there. But still, Whitecap fans are trying to represent Canada soccer for the Concacaf Champions Cup, and every Canadian soccer fan is always wanting to see a Canadian Championship winners out there, Vancouver Whitecaps of a three-peat. And yes, everyone supports a Canadian team to win the Concacaf Champions Cup. And the previous chances to win the Concacaf Champions Cup were the Toronto FC against Chivas, and they went to penalty kicks, and probably was one of the best games for a Canadian team out there in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And I have to say that it was one of the best in 2018. And something great out there for in Canada soccer that also is one of the best shockers, and it is also great in League One Canada, in the semi-pro leagues, that this upcoming season that League One Quebec has announced that promotion relegation is in effect for this 2025 season. So League One Quebec, League Two Quebec, and League Three Quebec will be in this season. So there won't be any relegation for League One Quebec. They're trying to add more teams in that division. So they will add 2 teams for the 2026 season, and they will relegate 10 teams to the League 3 Quebec, with League 3 Quebec will add 4 teams. So what we're going to be seeing that League 1 Quebec's division teams with the promotion relegation, they're going to try to even things out in the season of 2026. It really goes well. So 24 teams in the League 2 Quebec, and you have 16 teams in League 3 Quebec. So I understand the number of teams that are in the upcoming season, which it is a lot we're seeing in League 2 Quebec. So we get how many teams are going to get relegated. So it is really good that we're seeing promotion relegation happening in Quebec, because Quebec is to be honest, it's like compared to Ontario's competition, and probably we might see in other leagues out there, like for example League 1 BC in the future, League in Alberta. But right now everything has to go smoothly of trying to get all the other provinces out there to get their leagues for League 1 Canada. And right now they're trying to get the Prairies and the Atlantic to get their leagues, and it will be probably the best seeing of the uprising of Canada soccer, that we might actually have a great pyramid structure for Canada soccer. So we don't, as noticed, there's no second division. Probably in the future we might see one if actually we see the amount of teams in Canadian Premier League gets, for example, like 20 teams or probably 24 teams in the Canadian Premier League. Thinking of saying that maybe we should try to get a second division league and partner up with League 1 Canada, and it will probably find out that there could be establishment of the second division league. And I think that it goes really well. it will go well in that future for Canada soccer in probably the next 3 decades or so, or probably 2 decades. We might not know. We might still not know because it it's it's a slow process. How at Canada soccer, it will go somewhere. It will go somewhere. We might not know. It might go short. We it might go longer. It's sooner later we will see in there. And also we see that I know in League One Ontario used to have a Kingston team. Used to be sure that the Kingston Clippers used to play with League One Ontario, and didn't work out that much years with that team. But we're seeing breaking news that Kingston, Ontario project to actually have a stadium in the city of Kingston, Ontario. That people who wanted to make this project happen in the for the stadium at Memorial Centre for Kingston, Ontario, has been withdrawn, and wanted so a lot of Canadian soccer fans were so hyped that it's a possibility that there could be an actual professional soccer team and other events that could happen in this soccer stadium. But there has been a lot of back and forths. So the city of Kingston has been going to the area to talk with the citizens about this project. There has been some positives and some negatives to actually having this stadium, and a lot of people were thinking that this project might not happen or could actually happen, but there has been like a petition to not have the stadium. Like there was 7,000 signed for the petition to not have the stadium happen in Kingston, and I think the group, the Victory Grounds Ventures, wanted went to that route that it wouldn't they don't want to have like those mixed thoughts about building this stadium, but there's something that about it. And so they basically said during our due diligence process, we identified potential legal challenges that ultimately impact the project's visibility, and it brings in so there was a lot of mixed feelings about it. Like a lot of people wanted the next expansion team for the Canadian Premier League, and it just questions how the Canadian Premier League finds their next possible expansion team. And a lot of people will say, well, at least Quebec will have that possibility to be an expansion team. But a lot of people are saying that there's no sources coming out that there could be an expansion team. The only first front runners are Kelowna and Windsor. But a matter of fact is, we might not see, there's not been any updates yet about it soon. But probably we're seeing that the Canadian Premier League will announce the next expansion team in the probably the next months or so. So we might not know yet about it, and a lot of journalists and pundits out there will sooner or later get some updates out there. And a lot of the media are trying to get some updates of the expansion teams out there, but we know that. But some people know that the Canadian Premier League is focusing on like the upcoming runners is Windsor and Kelowna. But right now, what are the other cities out there that they are really interested? But a lot of people are always saying that hey, there's Mississauga. Some people are saying there's Mississauga also on the list out there. Yes, Mississauga is also trying to have a project to making a stadium in Mississauga, Ontario. Right now, they didn't have the bill passed, and it's not been announced still. They didn't vote on it yet, and probably months or so, we might see the announcement of that the city of Mississauga will make that project for city of Mississauga. So it is a lot to come with these news for it, and it is always these hype moments of that there might be some good news, that there might be some news, and it's like for example that you might say of the renovation of the stadium for BMO Field, for example, that they're going to have temporary seats on the north side and the south side, and the whole project for these temporary seats for BMO Field will cost them like $120 million for this project for the upcoming 2026 World Cup. They're going to have on the north side. There's going to be 1,000 seats for it, and like some patios in the north side, and the south side will have a lot of the seats out there, and it is some mixed feelings out there in the city of Toronto of that you're having these taxpayer money to be actually being having these temporary seats for this World 2026 World Cup. And as known, the city of Toronto are only going to be having 6 games for it, with only $120 plus million for these temporary seats. These are, like, to be honest, big events happening in Canada. Like, the FIFA World Cup has never happened in Canada, and yes, you're going to be seeing that there is going to be something to have to witness, like a big event. It's just like, for example, the NBA All-Star game. You're going to be seeing those big events, and for example, the Pan Am Games or any other big event. But the FIFA World Cup, this causes some mixed feelings about it. To be honest, there are some groups out there that will say that it's a negative thing, but it's something worth it. I think we're not going to see like another 4 years that Canada's going to host the World Cup again. It's going to take so long for Canada to actually have another World Cup, and yes, you might having like the prices for to getting to go to seats of it, to actually watch a game at BMO Field or the BC Place, that ticket prices are going to be a lot for it. But there's also other places that you actually might watch, like for example at a bar, stuff like, or actually go at home, or actually go to some of the places that will have some positive events to actually have for the FIFA game. Like there always gonna be some positives about it, but to be a lot of soccer fans can't wait, and for the 2026, it will bring some positive impact for Canada soccer. See that the first game for the FIFA World Cup for the Team Canada will take place in BMO Field, and we might see Alfonso Davis, we might see one of the big name players actually playing at BMO Field, and that's full time of the Red Leaf Card. You could follow us on X, YouTube, and Spotify. I'm your host, Jacob, subbing out.